Hello and welcome to the virtual presentation of the May Town Meeting warrant. My name is Jim Smith and I am your town manager. I am joined by
Jen Hager. I'm the town's community development director.
So, town meeting will be held on Monday, May 12th at 7 p.m. In the middle school, high school auditorium. The doors open around 6:30 p.m. and you should probably arrive early because the moderator likes to begin promptly at 7 p.m. So sometimes there's a little bit of a line to get in, so pay attention to that, and we hope to see you on May 12th. There are a couple of changes coming to this town meeting. The first is there will be a display that will show the articles and what a yes vote and a no vote will mean on that particular article. It will be on a screen, behind a large screen behind the moderator, so everybody will be able to see it. In the past, there has been some confusion on what a yes vote would mean and what a no vote would mean, so this will be an opportunity to clarify and simplify that particular issue. So hopefully that works. You know, we're going to just try it out and see how it goes this year. The other change will be a timer, controlled essentially by the moderator, a 3-minute timer for the discussion phase of any article. This will give everybody the opportunity to stand up and make a point on the particular article. And for those people that tend to go round and round and don't get to the point quickly, this will hopefully provide some focus for you individuals. And we're going to try it out, see how it works. But I think it'll help streamline town meeting and give everybody that wants to speak the opportunity to have that opportunity. So we'll see how that goes, but you know, we're constantly trying to figure out what works for town meeting. There are 20 articles at this town meeting. The first 9 articles are essentially structurally the same as they have been in previous years. Only the numbers have changed, but they are essentially the same. So I will go through them and we'll get to the finish line. Article 1 is to receive the reports and of town officers and committees. Typically, this is the annual report that the town clerk provides to town meeting. In other times, there have been other committees that have reported to town meeting, particularly the Charter, Bylaw, and Review Committee. They produced a report and spoke at town meeting. But at the very least, it's the annual report that will be produced for town meeting. Article 2 is to authorize the cemetery commissioners to employ themselves. This is required under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 268A, the Conflict of Interest Law, that town meeting must approve on an annual basis cemetery commissioners to employ themselves, to dig graves and take care of the roles of a typical cemetery commissioner. Article 3 is similar for the Board of Health. It would authorize the Board of Health to employ themselves under the same Mass General Law. Town meeting must approve it. We haven't had a Board of Health employee employ themselves, but we have had that situation, so there are circumstances we'd like to have this in an emergency case, but it's there in case we need it. Articles 4 and 5 are to fund our 2 enterprise funds. Article 4 is to fund the sewer department enterprise fund, and that amount is $876,026. So that will fully fund the sewer department for FY26. Article 5 is to fund the transfer station, the second enterprise fund that we have here in the town of Sutton. And that amount is $164,592. That would take care of the two enterprise funds for FY26.
Jim, what's an enterprise fund?
An enterprise fund is where the amount collected funds the operation. So the fees and the, however we collect revenue for let's say the transfer station, bag charges, and special permits and other kinds of charges, eventually that's the amount of the budget that you can fund. So it fully supports the amount that you bring in revenue is the amount that you can spend in the operation.
Okay.
So it's a closed operation where it doesn't have other funds, general fund money going towards it. The user fees essentially run the operation of that department.
Great, thanks.
Good question. Article 6 is to fund the FY26 operating budget at $40,075,541. This will fully fund all departments, including the regional schools, Blackstone Valley, and Norfolk Aggie. And that's a balanced budget for FY26. Article 7 is to fund the FY26 capital plan in the amount of $2,671,500. This will allow us to move forward with a pretty aggressive capital plan. All needs, no wants, and we are purchasing a rescue truck for the fire department. That's $1 million. That we are allocating towards that purchase. So that's a significant item, and that's probably why the capital plan is so much larger than you've seen in previous years. But this should take care of our needs for FY26 and beyond. Article 8 is to borrow in anticipation of receiving Chapter 90 funds. This is here sort of as an insurance item that we haven't had to borrow in anticipation of revenue from the state, but it's there just in case we need to. So, we've had this on the warrant for the last 10, 12 years. We've never had to borrow, but it's there just in case we need to in that case. If we don't have this, then it would be a hit against our free cash at year-end close. So we don't want to have to do that. But again, we don't do that. We haven't done it, but it's there just in case we need to.
And Chapter 90 is for roadway projects?
That's correct. Chapter 90 actually allows communities to spend those funds on, roads, sidewalks, other types of improvements in roadways, but it also allows communities to buy equipment. And some years ago we stopped buying large vehicles through Chapter 90, and now it totally goes to streets and sidewalks. And we use the capital free cash and the capital stabilization fund to purchase large vehicles. So that's a good question. Article 9 is to vote to transfer $276,514 out of the special ed tuition stabilization fund to fund out-of-district special ed costs that occurred after the budget was approved at last May's town meeting. So since last May, there have been increases in special ed out-of-district costs. And because of that, we, with the foresight of Jeff Bannon, who's a select board member, in 2017, I think we created this fund that doesn't penalize the school department for additional costs that come in after the budget was approved. So this is a great resource for the town to have. We have built it up over time, so even after this $276,000 is withdrawn and funded the school department, we'll have a balance of roughly $820,000 remaining. And what you'll see is that at year end, we will have additional revenue going into the special ed stabilization fund. So that account will be up over $900,000 to start FY26. So it's a good use of this fund, and it helps the school when they've been spending extra money on out-of-district placements. Article 10 is to vote to transfer $37,612 from free cash to the opioid expense account. This is typically a fall town meeting article, but due to the fact that Tim Harrison, our finance director, town accountant, is retiring, he wanted to get it done and taken care of at Springtown meeting, and I think it's smart to get that done and make it a little bit easier at fall town meeting for the next town accountant to deal with, because there'll be enough to deal with. Tim's been our town accountant for 30 years, and he's been a great partner for me and the rest of the department heads, and we will miss him. But that's why this article is occurring now in May versus at the fall town meeting. Article 11 is vote to transfer from compensated absences reserve fund to the FY26 town accountant / finance director's salary account of $28,400. Again, going back to the past article, Tim Harrison is retiring. This compensated absences fund was created to deal with all vacation, sick leave, buyback, and this $28,400 will take care of Tim Harrison's retirement fund. And you know, that fund, compensated absences fund, should be able to take care of all of these sort of legacy costs. Sick leave buyback, which was eliminated from the town back in 2006 town meeting, and then in union contracts in 2008. So those costs will go away, but it's fully funded in the compensated absences fund, and now we need to distribute a little bit to take care of Tim Harrison, who's retiring. So Article 12 is to transfer $100,000 from the FY25 health insurance account into the health insurance stabilization fund. We are utilizing the health insurance stabilization fund this year because our health insurance premiums went up close to 20% this year, which is a big hit. But we weren't alone. Out of the 160 or so communities that our health insurance provider deals with, which is MIA, Mass Interlocal Insurance Agency, there were 40 other communities that received the max increase. So it was it's happening in the health industry right now. The lowest rate we could have received is a little over 10%. So that shows you the rough range of 10 to 20%. There were, even if you had great health experience with your employees, the best you could have done is 10% under Maya this year. So hopefully that changes and becomes better for municipalities in the near future, because that's a challenge. Prior year invoice. Article 13 is to address prior year invoices. We have two, I think. The first is $14,108 to the police department for their vehicle account. Back in 2022, we ordered 2 cruisers, and there was some concern or issues with some of these cruisers. These cruisers took a while to get here. So they're long lead time on any equipment, large, either trucks or even police cruisers. So I think we received them in 2024, and there's been some discussion going back and forth with the vendor, and apparently we still owe them $14,108. And we have that money available in the capital fund for those vehicles. So we will cut a check if town meeting approves this authorization. And the second one is the transfer station, Pellegrino, for the hauling of the waste. This is more of a timing issue. The bill came in June 30th, and the books closed roughly in July, beginning of August. So it was a timing issue, and we have money in the account of $885.61 to cover this bill as well. And at this point, those are the only prior year bills that we have to address. Article 14 is to vote to transfer $83,010 from the cable fees receipts reserved for the appropriation to the FY25 cable department operating budget. These funds are intended to replace and upgrade equipment utilized by the town and the school within the auditorium and studio space. So this will take care of that issue. Article 15 is to fund underfunded accounts. We only have one underfunded account this year, and that is snow and ice. We are approximately $140,000 over the budgeted amount of $250,000. So this vote will make that account whole and be able to close the books on snow and ice. Article 16 is the vote to amend additional real estate tax exemption under Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5C and 1/2. This will increase exemptions to veterans, blind, and elderly residents that qualify. In lieu of the HEROES Act, this is another way to make these exemptions, and we all felt like this is the best way to give these exemptions to all people that qualify for these exemptions. So, Article 17 is sponsored by the Sewer Commission, and they are requesting capital from connection fees to address repairs and maintenance for the sewer system. And they've got a number of pump stations in the town of Sutton, and this will help them maintain and upgrade some of these pump stations that serve the sewer department throughout the town. So that's Article 17. Article 18 is sponsored by Blackstone Valley Vocational Technical School, is to create a stabilization account for BVT. They're not asking for any revenue for this appropriation, but they are asking for a vote to create the stabilization account. So that's what Article 18 is. Article 19 and 20 are citizens petitions, and I'll turn it over to Jen to address those.
I just want to thank you first for your last virtual town meeting warrant performance and all of your years of doing these wonderful virtual town meeting performances with me that have certainly been entertaining to me and our communications crew, and hopefully to the residents out there, giving them a little more information about what's coming their way. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Article 19, as Jim mentioned, is a citizen's petition. These articles are not sponsored by the planning board, so I am just going to outline what we heard from the article sponsors at the public hearing and let you know how the planning board voted on these articles. So the first article was to add construction vehicle and equipment rental to the industrial districts by special permit. This article actually was requested by the party in interest to be passed over. So it had been proposed in to my understanding, because the a particular property owner within the industrial district had a tenant that really wanted to do equipment rental. Right now in the town of Sutton, you can rent anything except for construction vehicles and equipment. So this is kind of plugging that hole and allowing that use. That tenant is no longer interested, so this sponsor has asked that this be passed over. You cannot withdraw a citizen's petition from a town meeting warrant once it's been submitted, unless everybody who signed the petition signs a request to withdraw it, which is pretty hard. So, and once the warrant's been signed, you also really can't change the warrant. So, in accordance with the request of the party in interest, the planning board voted at their public hearing to recommend that town meeting pass over this article. So that will be the recommendation of the board on the floor, and I believe that was also the recommendation of the finance committee.
Okay.
So, Article 20 is a citizen's petition by Brian Stevenson, and it is to amend the definition section of the zoning bylaw to add a definition for function and event space. And it is also to amend the table of use to allow this use by special permit in the village districts only. The village districts sit over the village of Wilkinsonville and over the village of Manchog. All right, per the language of the article, a function event space is a location which may host and or be rented for a variety of public and private events such as plays, lectures, family celebrations, community gatherings that may also provide food and beverage for consumption on the premises. So again, this isn't specific to a particular location, although Mr. Stephen is interested in it because he owns the Baptist Church down in Sutton, and Mr. Valancourt, who's supported this, obviously owns and runs Blackston Hall, which is the function space within Manchog Mill 1. It is not specific to those uses. It could be used anywhere within the village districts, and it just allows the possibility for a landowner to have this additional use allowed only by special permit, which is a public hearing process where abutters are invited in and can give their comments, and so that the planning board can really look at things like parking and traffic generation, hours of operation, and if the situation arises, they can actually deny a request under the special permit process if it's not appropriate. So
this is a little different too, that if you do provide alcohol, you would still need to go through the select board and get approval for that.
absolutely,
use.
completely different process than the planning board. We have no purview over that. So if you want alcohol, you'll have to go through that hearing process with the Board of Selectmen on a case-by-case or location-by-location basis.
Okay.
So this is different because this question was asked in the public hearing than the special event bylaw that was brought a year or two ago by another Stevenson. That was to basically take a property of at least 15 to 20 acres and really create event venues like wedding locations and larger things. This is more like if you have a little house and you don't want 30 people in it, you rent this little space and you have a bridal shower in one of these spaces.
Right.
So that's the difference between the two in case people were wondering. So the planning board voted on this unanimously to recommend that town meeting approve this article.
Good. Good. So as Jen mentioned, this is my last virtual town meeting warrant presentation because this is my last town meeting that I will be participating as your town manager. I will be retiring effective July 1st. The select board has already done their hiring process. They have selected Austin Cyganowicz as the town's next town manager. He will start in July. Austin currently serves as the town administrator in the town of Rutland, and he comes widely regarded in this field, and I hope that you will provide similar support and encouragement that you have given me for the last 18 years. So it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the town of Sutton, and I thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on May 12th.